Hello and welcome to Workhorse Wrestling Network. You are gathered with us for Saturday Night's All Right.
Yes, sir. We are here for AEW Collision. It appears Claudio and Wheeler Yuta are in the ring at the moment. I don't know if they're talking or wrestling. We'll find out here very shortly. Uh, Thank you for choosing Workhorse Wrestling Network for your watch longs. We appreciate it. We know you got a lot of options. If you're new, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button on this video, hit the bell to be notified so you can be notified every time we put something out. FTR coming to the ring.
Yeah, it's White Boy Muggle with you tonight.
uh, let's see. Why is there not? Oh, there it is. We can. I see. Okay. FTR is in the ring with the BCC. It was actually FTR versus BCC. If you're with us, chime in the chat. Love to hear from you. Let us know if you're watching Collision or not. Let us know what you got going on this great Saturday. It does appear to be Wheeler Yuta and Claudio versus FTR.
Mox and Claudio beat FTR. Let's see how Claudio and
Wheeler
Wheeler fare.
and Wheeler pair. Wheeler Yuta is just coming back. I just noticed him back at Dynamite last week, if I'm not mistaken. That's the first time I realized he was back. Or was it last week? It might have been this week at Dynamite. Last week, this week, one or the other. Might have been this Wednesday.
How is it that BCC can't get a tag team title shot?
That's a good question. That is a very good question. They should get a tag team title shot.
I mean, they beat FTR. I thought that they were going to get a title shot after they beat FTR.
Yeah. I mean, the Bucks have those titles at the moment, so they're not anxious to, and they're doing their EVP bit, so they're not. Doesn't feel like they're defending them a whole lot, and there isn't a whole lot of action around those belts at the moment because they're too busy doing their EVP stuff. But
Jack Perry going for the TNT title.
yeah,
Okada holds the
has the
Continental.
right holds the Continental title. Yeah, yep. Now, I, you know, I didn't necessarily have a problem with the Anarchy in the arena setup, but I'm I want the Elite versus the BCC at some point.
The only thing is that I feel like the BCC has to win. But
Yeah,
what
maybe
do
that's
I?
true.
But they could do that and have it set up for Blood and Guts.
Yeah, that would be fun. What's up, Dolores? Hope all is well. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
The Elite versus BCC. That sounds like a very good Blood and Guts to me.
Yeah, I mean it's got to be Blood and Guts or Anarchy in the Arena or Stadium Stampede, something like that. I'm
Well,
thinking
we,
four
we
on
just
four.
got Anarchy in the arena. So
Right. Well, I'm just saying that style of match, something where it's some sort of big multi-man match like that. Oh, Claudio with a huge European uppercut on Dax. Cash out to console Dax, make sure he's okay. So, talk to me about the European uppercut. So, it looks like but I think it's thrown to the. It's not really hitting the chin, right? It's landing on the chest more. It's like a different version of the chop, kind of. I mean, is that, or is it actually landing on the chin and under the, like a normal boxing type uppercut? Because I mean, it's obviously thrown a little differently.
Well, it's bicep instead of
Right,
fist.
right. But Dax was like, he rolled out of the ring and was holding his chest after the one Claudio gave him, as opposed to
Yeah.
like, it wasn't like he was holding his chin, he was holding his chest. So it made me think like, are they actually resonating here as opposed to up here? So, oh, big stop.
I mean, visually, like he's hitting the chest. I don't know if it's supposed to, but visually he is hitting the chest.
Right. Because he doesn't really throw chops. Like, Claudio doesn't really chop. He does European uppercuts as opposed to like, that's his version of the chop, I guess, for, you know, that chest blow. Yuta and Dax in the ring. Yuta out of the corner, Dax in. Yuta senton from Yuta. 2. Dax kicks out. Cash starting to make his way into the ring to break up the pin. Dax kicked out.
Mm,
No. Oh, what happened there? Wheeler Yuta landed on his head. Kind of weird, huh?
yeah.
That didn't look right. Dax had him, like, picked him up and then kind of dumped him on his side and his head. Yeah, that didn't look right.
FTR working heel tonight?
I mean, I don't know. It is, I guess. I mean, calling BCC faces is weird to me because they're not really. I mean, yet they're not really heels either. I mean, I don't know. They're definitely right in between. They're those. I guess they're angry faces. I'm not sure. I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. They're intense angry faces. Strikeout.
I mean, I'd say they're closer to baby faces than they are to heels, though.
I mean, I guess in regards to the fact that that's how they're being booked. But I think naturally they feel more heelish than facish. Although I don't know. I mean, BCC is definitely a big fan favorite either way. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if they're heels, they're still getting cheered, and if they're faces, then okay. I mean, they're getting cheered. So
But
FTR is very
FTR also
similar.
gets killed, gets cheered.
I was gonna say FTR is very similar. I mean, they can work either heel or face, and it seems like they do both. They switch back and forth depending on who they're wrestling at any given time. So it doesn't feel like they're settled into one or the other firmly.
I don't like the rapid uppercuts.
You don't?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like here, I would think of FTR as being like you said, working the heel, being the heels in this match. But if they were to face the Bucks right now, they would be the face in the match. The faces in the match. Like
Mm-hmm.
they switch between whoever they're facing in that particular match or the circumstances of the match. Claudio. Oh, going after Dax, but Dax met him with the big foot. Oh, Wheeler off the ring apron with the clothesline. Ooh, Cash was trying to come through the middle rope, and Claudio met him with a big European uppercut. Claudio throwing Dax back in the ring. Claudio and Dax in the ring. I think they're the two legal men. And we're going to get the Swing. Oh, maybe not. Dax came in, broke it up. Sunset flip. Claudio counters into sharpshooter. Oh, so Claudio has Cash and a sharpshooter. Now Dax has Wheeler Yuta and a sharpshooter. And Claudio and Dax are looking at each other as they try to sit down to cinch it in more on each other's opponent. Oh, now Claudio and Dax are slapping each other. Uppercut, chop, right hand, chop, elbow, chop, elbows, elbows. Back and forth. Claudio and Dax exchanging strikes. What a great match to open the show.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I mean, not that you would expect anything less. I mean, going to picture in picture as Dax and Wheeler are outside and Claudio and Cash are in the ring.
For in every cake, it's under $10.
Make sure and check out Enter the Square Circle tomorrow morning. Uh, and make sure you're back with us tomorrow night for our NXT Battleground watch along at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Should be a fun show.
Do you go to the movies?
Sometimes, I mean, I haven't. I've only been once, really. I think since the pandemic ended. I used to go a lot. The reason that I don't go to the movies for the most part is because I have a really, really, really hard time staying awake, and it drives my wife fucking nuts. So we end up fighting about it, and so it's easier to just not go.
Last time I went and
So
watched a bad movie, I fell asleep. But if it's a good
yeah,
movie, I don't usually have that problem.
yeah. Well, I don't sleep great at night, so I'm always kind of tired, and then I do tend to smoke a lot of weed. And when I'm going to the movies, like I definitely want to be high because that makes movies more enjoyable, obviously. And as a result, then before you know it, I'm out like a light. It's dark, it's warm, I'm high, and before you know it, I'm out. And of course, I snore. If I didn't snore, it wouldn't be an issue. But because I snore when I sleep, she's all embarrassed in the movie theater, which is fair. I mean, that's justifiable. So she gets upset and then I get upset and then yeah, so it's all bad. But no, I mean I do like to go to the movies. What's up, Hassan? Thanks for joining us. Watching some Collision. Anika is at work. She might be with us tomorrow for Battleground. I'm not
Said she
totally
would be.
sure. Oh, she said she would be. Okay. So she should be here tomorrow for our Battleground watch along. We are picture in picture. Now we're back. We got Claudio and Dax going at it, and up on the second rope in the corner, Claudio. Ooh, with a belly to back suplex. Not belly to back, gut red suplex for a 2 count. I do like to go to the movies.
We've had some good movies this year.
There have been some good movies that have come out this year. And it's just barely the beginning of summer. I'm assuming we'll get some more decent ones during summer. And
Oh yeah, it definitely looks like the
one,
best movies are coming
two,
out in the second half of the year.
right. Oh, rolls them up. Dax 1, 2. Claudio kicks out. Claudio trying to get the backslide on Dax. Dax fighting on counters. Dax counters with the Luthez press. Spinebuster, I guess, technically.
I'm excited to see how Bad Boys performs this weekend. I thought the movie was really good.
Yeah.
But a lot of movies have not been performing well at all this year.
I think there's still residual stuff probably from the pandemic. People haven't totally got 100% back to normal life. And
Well,
I also think it's a victim of streaming stuff. I mean, I think that now almost everything's available either at the same time that it's in the theater or very shortly thereafter. And if you're willing to wait, if it's not something you absolutely have to see, you can probably wait and see it for free within a couple months somewhere.
I think it comes
So
down to two things. One, so many bad movies have been coming out that people feel burnt on going to the theater of like, why am I spending $20 on a movie I'm not going to like?
that could be
And
possible.
the second thing is it's $20 and like everything's expensive right now. Like can't afford to waste $20 on going to the movies. Like
Yeah. No, I agree. Things are more expensive than normal. I mean, I don't when stuff like that happens, there's never any one reason, right? It's always a litany of reasons. So
well, like they've been giving out reasons like the weather was good, so people didn't want to be cooped up in a movie theater on the weekend. It's like
right.
no, that's not a reason. That's an excuse.
Yeah. I mean, it's a possible explanation, but at the same time, before the pandemic and for many years, movie theaters have been plenty packed on weekends. So,
Especially
I
like
mean,
Memorial Day weekend where weather's nice. Like movies still made a lot of money.
oh yeah, no doubt. I do firmly believe that the biggest impact on movie theaters, though, is the streaming situation now and the way TV is. I mean, I can almost every movie that's out in the theater is also available for pay on some streaming platform. Now, it's not the same as going to the theater, but a lot of people prefer to be at home. A lot of people like the freedom of being at home as opposed to the theater.
And they can watch it on
Agree?
their own time. Not
Yeah, you don't I have to watch it all in one sitting. So the longer movies, you can pause them and get up, move around. You can, all those kind of things. Now, they've done a lot. I don't know about where you're at, but here, movie theaters in the last 10 years have undergone a real renaissance that as far as comfortability and
oh yeah.
enjoyment goes, there's new seating. They've all got now luxury seating and they're all like recliners or they're, big seats with ottomans, those kind of things, or you can get wine and beer in certain theaters now, all those
So
kind of
it's
things.
a
So,
double edged sword for you because like it's more
yeah, well, the
comfortable. That's
chairs make it
awesome.
harder.
But also it's more comfortable, so I'm gonna go and fall asleep.
Exactly. It makes it easier to fall asleep for sure. So, I mean, so in that regard, I mean, the movie going experience has probably never been better.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think it still doesn't in many respects compare to being at home and not on a regular day or night. Like if you want to go take the family to a movie on a weekend, that's one thing. But if you can see the same movie on a Tuesday night or a Wednesday night when you don't have to take the family out on a school night or you don't have to, and you could still see the same movie at home, I mean, that to me is where you're really having, the biggest issue. But, and in theory, you can rent the movie that's in the theater for $20. You can't get one person can barely go for $20. So if you've got 3 or 4 people, it really is cost effective to stay home and watch it. Especially if you already have popcorn, you already have drinks. I mean, all that stuff, right? So I mean, in theory, or you can go to the store, you could rent the movie, get soda and popcorn from the store, all for less than 2 people to go to the theater. And that's just the tickets. That's not talking about buying popcorn or sodas at the theater. So,
Hmm.
and I don't know about you, but well, I can. The wife has to have popcorn when we go to the movies.
Oh,
It's one of those things. So
I never get popcorn. I'm a
she,
candy guy.
yeah. So
But like I usually don't get candy. But like if I was getting a snack at the movie theater, it's candy.
Here's the thing, right? Like when I was younger, it was one thing to go to the theater. There's a movie I really want to see. I don't care if all I've got is the ticket money. All I care about is seeing the movie. It is what it is. Get in and get out. The older I get, and especially having kids and a family and going with other people, I want it to be an experience and enjoyable. And if that's the case, then I don't want to be there thinking about, oh, I can't really afford the candy. Oh, I can't really afford the popcorn if I want it. You know what I'm saying? Or so and so wants the popcorn, and it just you know what I mean. So if I'm gonna do, if I really want to enjoy myself, it ends up being expensive, and so
It's better to
it's
go to
so
the
much.
movie theater in the winter because you wear
Yeah,
baggy clothing and you can hide snacks.
no doubt.
But during the
Yeah,
summer, like I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt. Like I have no place to hide snacks.
candy. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean that's forever. I mean, I always went to the. Usually, I go to the little stop at the convenience store, go to the dollar store before the movie and get if and when I did that dollar store candy and take it with us, or candy from the convenience store and bring it with us or whatever. My mom has a big old person. She literally pops her own popcorn and then puts it in a Ziploc bag and puts the Ziploc bag in her purse and brings in her own popcorn. For several reasons. One, because she doesn't want to pay for it, but two, because she eats her like popcorn with no butter. She doesn't. She likes the healthy, like healthy pop, no butter, popcorn. So
Well, I mean, movie
that,
theaters don't even do butter; they do coconut oil.
yeah, whatever. I mean, oh, cash tapped out to Claudio.
BCC beats FTR again.
ECC beats
Oh, time
FTR.
limit draw. Time limit draw.
Oh, he didn't tap out. Oh, okay. Time limit draw. All right. I thought Cash had tapped out. Now they're asking for more time. Is that what the FTR's yelling about? What? I feel like you can almost always guarantee when you have a time limit and it comes to the end, someone's got to complain and wants more time. If you're going to do that, why even have a time limit? It feels like more than 50 or 75% of the time, someone's got to complain about wanting more time. They end up getting more time and the match gets restarted. What's the fucking point of even having a time limit if you're just going
Oh
to do that
shit!
every time?
Look at Cutler's beard.
Hey, Cutler's beard is, yeah. Is that, it was fake before. I think that's fake still.
Okay.
Because he has a smaller beard underneath. Like they showed him with it off, and he's got like a thin chin strappy type beard underneath.
Like the snacks that I want when I watch a movie are chips or hard candy.
Yep, I hear you.
They don't sell
It,
either of those at the movie theater.
for some reason, it feels like at home it's not as big a deal to go without getting the popcorn or eating a snack as it does at the movie theater, because the movie theater feels like an outing and an event. Like you want to do something because you want to. You're there. You gotta get popcorn. You gotta get a soda. You gotta get candy. You got, what I mean. Where at home, like I watch movies all the time and never eat popcorn. You know what I mean? Or watch
Ooh,
movies, never eat candy. So, oh, big rig, Cutler. I didn't have my volume up. I don't. What was Cutler saying? He brought a piece of paper down. FTR ripped it up. What was on the piece of paper? Do you know?
no.
Okay. There's a referee in the ring. Both teams are back in the ring. Is it going to continue?
Claudio has something to say.
Claudio's got something to say. What is Claudio going to say?
And Claudio makes FTR look tiny.
right? And I have, even in the movie, well, especially in the movie theater, because even though it's loud, like sometimes the sound isn't necessarily the clearest, even though it's loud, and I have hearing issues already. So when I watch movies at home, when I watch TV at home, I have the captions on and can't do that in the theater. So I end up missing stuff in the theater too. So that can be
I mean,
irritating.
it is an option if you watch a foreign language film.
Sure, yeah. Or there are the movie theaters around here usually have one theater in the theater that's one room in the theater, in the big theater, one of the theaters in the big, cinema, I guess however you refer to it, that is one or more that has, for hearing impaired people, where they
Mhm.
will have the captions on. So
That's nice. More theaters should do that.
I agree. And then I know some people that can't stand captions. Like my best friend in the world, he fucking hates captions with a passion. I'm not trying to read while I watch TV. Okay. I get it, whatever. So,
Because like, if
so you
captions
can't just
aren't on, sometimes I'm like can't understand what they're saying. Like they
exactly,
say something too fast, and I'm like, all right, I gotta rewind that, hear what they said
exactly.
again.
Yeah, that's a big part of why I have captions on. Even if I can hear it, sometimes it's not always able to decipher what they said. They speak too fast, or it's there's music playing at the same time. A lot of times,
Mhm.
so
Oh, that's one thing that really irritates me about movies. Like I can't hear what they're saying, so I turn it up, and then as soon as they're done talking, it switches to a different scene, like they're in the car driving or something, and the music's just it's like
yeah, it's really
my
loud. Yeah,
ears.
yeah. No, that's an ongoing issue I have too with TV. Is that the ambient sounds are always louder than the dialogue. Whatever it is, either the music, the car, the whatever, it's always louder than the dialogue. I'm turning it up for the talking and then turning it down for the sounds when they're not talking. It's like really, even when I have my smart TV set on smart sound, so it's supposed to like adjust on its own or not have that same issue, I still have that issue. So we had the Kingdom in the back, the Undisputed Kingdom in the back talking to Kyle O'Reilly. I didn't hear what they said, obviously. I'm muted, so but now we've got Chris Statlander coming down to the ring with Stokely Hathaway. Heel, Chris Statlander, right? I mean, that
Mm-hmm.
attacking Willow was a heel turn.
Mm-hmm. She also talked shit to Orange Cassidy
Yes, she did.
and slapped to the face.
And sided with Trent, who's definitely a heel now in the Don Callis family.
What's
We've
her
got
sister's
Robin.
name?
What?
What's Robin's sister's name?
Charlotte. I think they're both still there. Charlotte's probably under the ring. I think they're still doing the whole twin magic action thing. I don't know. But right now it's Chris Statlander versus Robin Renegade. Statlander with a huge European uppercut in the corner, whips her over. I'm assuming this is going to be. I mean, even though the Renegade twins have done better and grown a lot, I assume this is going to be a showcase match for Statlander. I mean, I don't.
It's unfortunate for them that like AEW doesn't do women's tag. Like
Yeah,
they need to go to TNA or WWE
agreed. Agreed, agreed, agreed.
because like Robin's good. Robin's doing a great job out here, but like she's not going to get any opportunity.
No. Nope. There's what we're watching. Statlander has her up. Huge sit down power bomb. Oh wow. Sold it. She flipped over. from the Impact. Robin flipped over. Gonna get a second one. Nope. Stat flips her over. Almost Styles clashy position. Oh, gave her a pile driver. 1, 2, and 3. As I figured, not I wouldn't call it a squash, but it was definitely a Chris Statlander showcase match. Now she's doing push-ups to show how little work Robin Renegade was. We definitely didn't see Charlotte come out from under the ring at all. Robin just got beat.
Like, it's gonna be tough choosing like what promotion to wrestle for, because like with
Do you think
WWE,
it's like
you're
that?
gonna get paid less. You also hold a less opportunity of getting airtime. But if you are successful, if you become something, then you get paid more than any other company's going to pay you, aside from AEW.
Right. No, I mean, is that the reality of the situation, though? I mean, do you think the Renegade twins sit around and think to themselves, which promotion do I want to go to? I don't think they just have those options. I think it's whoever calls them and says, "Hey, do you want to come over here?" Like WWE's not—they're not just like waiting for the Renegade girl. I mean, like they can't just say, "We want to come to WWE." I mean, maybe they can, and they can start, in a performance center or do whatever
Yeah,
they do. They can try out, but I mean. I guess it depends on who's asking you to come over or who wants you on their promotion, right? Who's trying to book you. I mean,
but like when you're in the performance center, like you're making peanuts.
sure. I mean, I'd be interested to know what the difference is between the performance center and what the Renegade twins are making now, being on, either a collision or a rampage, maybe once a month or once every 2 months. I mean, they're not on all that often. I mean, they're on,
But
every
they can
couple
also
months
wrestle other
for.
places.
I'm sure they probably do. I can't. I mean, if this is the only place they're wrestling, they got to be getting paid a fair amount of money. Otherwise, they got jobs because they're not surviving off, being on TV once every 2 months. I mean, that's for sure. So, especially not losing and being jobbers or, basically good hands, right? I mean, like you said, I mean, even in AEW, the lower level people are probably getting paid better than they are in WWE, but they're still not making what the main event people are making. Obviously, I mean, the top of the food chain get paid more. I mean, it just is what it is. So the big stars will always get paid more. So if you're a jobber, you're going to get paid less, obviously. And so, yeah, I don't know.
I wonder who the highest paid in AEW is.
That's an interesting question. I don't know. Stokely saying something about Chris Statlander. Chris is taunting the crowd. Uh, we're getting still to come tonight. Kyle O'Reilly versus Orange Cassidy. That should be an interesting match. And up next, Dustin Rhodes versus Johnny TV. That should be fun. I'm always excited to see Dustin. We are at commercial. Dustin Rhodes versus Johnny TV. When we come back from break, this should be the match that is coming on per the graphic before we went to commercial, which said this match was next. So if you're with us, thank you for joining us. We appreciate you choosing Workhorse Wrestling Network for your watch along. We know you got a lot of options, so thank you for being here. Hope you're having a wonderful Saturday. Hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed. Hit the bell on this video, or hit the like button for this video. Hit the bell to be notified so that every time we go live or we go on the air, you'll be notified so you can tune in and check it out. We will be here tomorrow, both in the morning for a pre-recorded episode of End of the Square Circle, and then tomorrow night for our live NXT Battleground watch along, starting at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, in which Trick Williams will defend his NXT World Championship against All Ego Ethan Page, which should be an interesting match and a good show. So make sure to come back tomorrow for that.
But like Okada, like his contract is 4.5 million a year.
Okay.
Like WWE wasn't going to pay him that.
Probably not. No. I mean, I don't know. I don't even know what the upper end of WWE's pay scale is, so I don't know. That seemed like probably higher than even their upper end. I mean, my guess, but I don't know. Maybe not. I
Well,
mean,
no, their upper end is pretty high.
is it?
But like that's just like 4 days.
Right.
All right. Do.
I mean, Okada making 4.5 million a year is pretty good, especially since he's at this moment in time he's not really doing a whole lot. I mean, he won the belt from Eddie, and he's wrestled. He's defended it, I think, twice since then. But he's not like it's not like he's doing something every episode or something. I mean, he's in the elite, so he's in those segments, so he's involved. But I wouldn't say he's wrestled a whole lot so
Okada
far.
is getting paid the same as the third highest paid wrestler in WWE.
Yeah,
So there,
which is who?
Randy Orton,
So what's the first highest get paid?
Brock Lesnar,
How much does he make a year?
12 million.
Jesus Christ.
Roman's number two, and he makes 5.
That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous. Oh, is it Lexi there? Or was ever backstage? Not the backstage lady is now talking to Willow Nightingale. I believe after this segment we will get the match I have up on the screen: Dusty Rhodes versus Johnny TV.
But yeah, uh, looking at this list, like basically take any name off of the top 20. If they went to AEW, they'd be making $1 million more.
Yeah. Does it say who's making the most in AEW? Dustin Rhodes, the Natural. Johnny TV. I'm assuming with Taya Valkyrie. See here in a minute when it comes out of the tunnel. Yep. Taya is joining it with her hideous hair color. Johnny TV. He was on last week. Who did he wrestle last week? I'm trying to remember. He wrestled somebody last week. It was a solid match. I don't remember who it was, but it was a good match. Excuse me. I am tired. Tired. Johnny taking his jacket off, Taya at ringside. Dustin is ready to go. The ref's about to ring the bell. This match underway. Two veterans. Both had stints in WWE, both have had stints in TNA, and now both here in AEW. I guess the real question is if they've ever been in the same company at the same time before. They've definitely been in the same companies, but I don't know if they've been in the same companies at the same time before. Do you know if this is the first time these two have wrestled? Would you know? Seems kind of hard to believe that this might be their very first matchup ever, but You never know.
Because like I don't know if he wrestled Goldust in a one-on-one.
That's just what I was saying. Did John Morrison ever wrestle Goldust? I mean, that would be the only.
I
I don't
mean,
even know where this.
likely in a tag team match, but I don't know if
Right.
it's in a one-on-one.
Dustin over to Taya Valkyrie. Does a little woo in her face, a little like yell in her face, scares her a little bit. Oh, cannonball from Dustin off the ring apron. Johnny's down. Dustin serving chops. Dustin's still messing with Taya, spending too much time being distracted by Taya Valkyrie. Oh, Johnny through the middle rope with some torpedo splash type thing from the middle rope.
I'm hearing different things on here. Like,
As far as the highest paid AEW guy?
yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple of answers.
Okay.
So, like, one person says that it's Chris Jericho. Another person says it's Jericho and Mercedes. Another person says it's John Moxley, and another person says it's MJF. So,
Do they say how much they make?
for Jericho and Mercedes, they said that they make the most at $5 million.
Okay.
One person said it's John Moxley at $6 million,
Okay.
and another person said MJF at reportedly 15.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. That would be, if those numbers are correct, the discrepancy between, or the difference between MJF and Moxley and or Mercedes and whatchamacallit
Jericho.
Jericho seems like quite a bit. I mean, but I guess you have that same kind of gap ultimately kind of in WWE between Brock and Roman, I guess. But here's the bigger comparison. If you're paying double digits for someone and 12 million is not that much off of 15 million, and you're comparing Brock to MJF, for me personally, I think MJF earns the money and Brock doesn't. That's my personal opinion. Now, I know people like Brock and Brock fills seats and people, come to see Brock, but for my money, it feels like MJF is, for me, MJF is probably worth that. For me, Brock Lesnar's not worth that. Especially when you figure Brock doesn't even wrestle that often. And right now, well, now he's been fired. So I don't know if he's getting that, or I don't know if he's been fired per se, but he's been summarily kind of blackballed by the company because he's been involved with the allegations against Vince and stuff. So I don't know if they pay him when he's not around or if that's only when he's wrestling. I'd love to see what that contract looks like when he's not around or in this particular situation. But even when he is wrestling, and for me, Brock isn't worth 12 million, but
I
it
found
definitely isn't worth being your highest paid wrestler in WWE, in my opinion.
I found a thing for 2022, but it's 2024 now. So
Sure.
for 2022, it was John Moxley at 6 million, Jericho at 3, Kenny Omega at 3, and Cody Rhodes at 3.
Sounds
Before
approximately
Cody Rhodes
right.
left.
Yeah, it sounds approximately right. I mean, I didn't necessarily think there were a whole lot of people making in the double digits. So the fact that it's supposedly only Brock and MJF, there's only one in each company that's in the double digits, so that makes sense. Obviously, we don't know that those numbers are correct, but I still think I don't think it should be Brock that's in that highest paid position. That's for sure. He's not worth that money to me, but I don't have the money and I'm not paying people, so it is what it is. But Vince was a huge Brock fan. I mean,
This list looks pretty good.
the one from 2022.
This doesn't have a year to it, but Cody Rhodes is on the list, so. But
So it had to be
Okada's
obviously.
also on the list, so it's hard to make heads or tails of
Interesting when the list actually. Because Cody Rhodes
Because
has
like
gone
those
way
two were
before
not in the
Okada ever
company at the
came.
same time at all.
No, definitely not. It could just be a comparison, though. This is what Cody Rhodes made when he left. This is what Okada's making now. I mean, I suppose it could be like that.
I guess that they're just not making the information public domain.
Which I don't blame him. I mean, I always found it like I get it. Like most of the time, you're aware of your wealth, or your not your wealth, your worth. And you know that like you're not the. You obviously believe in yourself, and you think if you're a professional wrestler, you probably believe that you have the ability to be a world champion for any company because you believe in yourself. You probably wouldn't get there if you didn't. The reality is that hopefully a lot of these guys probably realize that they're never going to get that opportunity or never going to be those guys. And so they're probably ultimately okay with making, $500,000 or $1 million when they know somebody else is making five. But I'd be irritated. I mean, even if you know your worth, it's like, I want more money. If so and so's making 5 million, I want more. The fact that it doesn't surprise me that those numbers aren't out there. A lot of times I've worked at companies and jobs where like it was against company policy to discuss your pay wage. You know what I'm saying? Like people still did it, but you weren't supposed to. You know what I mean? Like it was written into the handbook that employees aren't supposed to discuss their pay with other employees. Like, and for that reason specifically, because you don't want people getting pissed off. Oh, I've been here for 2 years and you hired Joe and you brought him in for more money than I'm making. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
For whatever reason. So it definitely wouldn't. Oh, Taya putting Johnny's leg on the rope to break up the count. Dustin had the pin there. Taya paying dividends, being at ringside, helping her man. Dustin out yelling at Taya again. This is the third time now they've been face to face. Oh, Taya went to slap Dustin. Dustin caught her arm. And the referee just sent Taya back to the back. You are banned from ringside, Taya. Center packet. So the match will continue with no Taya Valkyrie at ringside. Oh, Johnny just kicked him right in the mush. 1, 2. Oh, Dustin barely kicks out.
Okay. So Mox has a guarantee
Okay.
of 20 million for 7 years. That's apparently what I found.
Okay.
That's a guarantee salary though.
Right.
So like if he's injured at home and can't work,
Yeah, he still gets it. Sure. Yep. He's still getting paid. So that works out to be a little less than 3 million a year.
yeah.
If you work it out, if you divide 20 by 7, it's a little less than 3 million a year. He probably has some sort of bonuses built in too.
Oh yeah,
If
absolutely.
if you're the champion, you get X. If you're the main event of this, you get X. Or Dustin with the win on Johnny TV. Nice win for Dustin Rhodes. I mean, when it comes to a match like this where you have two guys that aren't really doing anything, just kind of toil in the mid card, maybe even a little bit lower. I wonder how you decide who's going to win. I mean, why? I'm not sure why Dustin gets a win here, but I wouldn't be totally clear why Johnny would get the win either. I mean, Dustin's about to talk. Uh oh. Are we getting retirement talk from Dustin?
It's highly possible. I was really hoping to
Sounds
see
like,
him make a tag team run.
yeah. Yep. I'm going to mute myself so I can hear what he has to say. Oh,
Mm.
interesting. He's talking about scapegoat Jack Perry. So you want to know what really pisses me off? Scapegoat Jack Perry.
Um,
And when you came back, we were happy to see
Joey
you.
Janela made the claim that every contracted wrestler in AEW makes at least six figures.
The man who pays us our
That no
paycheck.
contract is less than
The man
$100,000.
$100,000. Yeah, that's nice. I mean, Dustin says, you disgust me, Jack Perry.
But that's also on with the caveat of under contract. They have plenty of wrestlers that wrestle for them that aren't under contract too.
Right.
for this business.
Dustin says, you talk about how much you sacrifice for this business, and he says, let me tell you something, boy. You're born with a silver spoon in your mouth. You've never worked a day in your goddamn life. He's rambling a little bit, but 37 years I've sacrificed for my family. He says, to put it simply, you ain't sacrificed shit, Jack Perry. I'm assuming this is going to lead to some sort of a Jack Perry Dustin Rhodes match. Doesn't sound like Dustin's retiring. It sounds like he's challenging Jack Perry ultimately.
And if you're not a leader, which sure as hell are not, the feud never changes, to quote my late father. The feud never changes.
He says, if you're a follower, to quote my father, the view never changes. And Jack Perry, you're a follower. And now he's pointing to the sky, and the crowd is chanting, Dusty. 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 Oh, this Wednesday on Dynamite, Dustin Rhodes versus Jack Perry. Should be fun. He says he's going to destroy his life. You can't beat me fair and square. Solid promo. I mean, he rambled in a couple little spots, but very solid work from Dustin, both in a good match against Johnny TV and then in a good little promo. So Dustin is definitely not retiring yet. I thought we might be hearing some retirement talk, but nope. Especially when he started off thanking the crowd and talking about how he loves the crowd and thanks all the guys in the back and has no respect for all the guys in the back. And then it was leading up to his anti-Jack Perry rant. So on Wednesday Dynamite, we will get Jack Perry versus the natural Dustin Rhodes, which should be a good match. We are at commercial right now. We're at commercial. Take a second to say thank you for choosing Workhorse Wrestling Network for your watch longs. You know you got a lot of options. If you're new, hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button on this video. Hit the bell to be notified. We appreciate it. If you set up the notifications, you'll be notified every time we drop something, so you won't miss anything. Make sure and tune in tomorrow morning for Enter the Square Circle, and then back tomorrow night for our live watch long of NXT Battleground. We're about halfway through tonight's Collision. It's about 6 o'clock on my end here on the West Coast. Another hour. Had a couple good matches so far tonight. FTR versus BCC to start off the show was really good.
You know something that I would love?
What?
Becky Lynch coming to AEW at a salary of $5,001,001.
Oh yeah, is that because she makes $5 million in WWE, or is
No,
that
she
because
made
somebody else?
3.
Oh, so why the one who's making $5 million in AEW that should be $1
Mercedes.
higher? Oh,
5,000,001.
yeah. I mean, I don't. I'd be interested to see. I mean, it doesn't all just boil down to who the best wrestler is, right? I mean, that doesn't always translate into merchandise sales or XYZ. So I don't know who sells more merch between Mercedes and Becky. But
Well,
yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
think Becky can do the man shirts.
yeah,
She'd have to.
do something else, which is fine. I never liked the man anyhow. I get it. I understand why they use it and I get where it comes from. I get it, all that stuff. I just personally, when you have women and it feels like you're implying that the best thing they can do is be a man or the man, you're diminishing just women in general, right? It feels sexist to me. That's how it feels. But again, it is what it is. And if it doesn't bother her, it shouldn't bother me. So David, thanks for joining us. David says Dustin Rhodes versus Jack Perry is going to be good. And then he says, yeet. Yes, yes, indeed. Yeet, yeet. David says, I think Jack's going to beat Dustin, though. Yeah, I agree. I mean, at this point in their careers and storyline wise, and for all those things, Jack Perry should probably be beating Dustin Rhodes. I mean, it's unfortunate, but the reality is that Dustin's had a really solid career, but right now Jack's ceiling is higher than Dustin's career ceiling has been. And Dustin at almost 60 and Jack Perry at 25 or 28, whatever he is. Yeah, in theory, Jack Perry should probably be beating Dustin Rhodes right now. So yeah, I think I agree with you, David. I think Jack's probably going to win. Right now, we got the premier athletes, Tony Nese and Arya Davari, coming out. Tornado tag match right now. I did like on Dynamite, they're showing a little recap of the premier athletes getting into it with Hook and Joe. I think that'd be a fun match. I'd like to see the premier athletes get booked in matches against better talent. I mean, get a little bit of a push and get some bigger matches. I like them. I mean, I think they're solid. I think both Arya and Tony Nese can talk well, and they both can wrestle well. So, yeah, against two jobbers, this is going to be ugly here. This is going to be a squasher, I assume here. I put up a banner of who they're wrestling, but I didn't even hear what the announcer said, and I didn't see any graphics. So these jobbers don't even get announced properly. Oh, Arya with a huge short arm clothesline. Almost Tony Nese throwing him out of the ring. Oh, tried to get some offense counter. Tony Nese picks him up and pile drives him on his head. 1, 2, 3. And it is indeed over. That was a squash for the premier athletes. What do you think of the premier athletes? Are you a fan?
Mid card.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like they're deserving of having a job, but
Holy shit. We have a Scorpio Sky sighting. Scorpio Sky giving a
I
promo
think so too.
backstage.
David commented here.
Yeah. No, I answered it.
Oh,
You must
okay.
be looking at your phone. Yeah, I said I thought Jack was going to win too. I said, at this point in time, with Dustin being, almost 60 and Jack in his, 20s, ideally, Jack's got the more athletic, he's faster, he's younger, he's quicker, all those things. Plus, storyline wise, Jack should be beating Dustin Rhodes right now. Jack is in, you know, the premier faction in AEW and considered a for all intents and purposes, being considered a main event guy, and Dustin Rhodes is not. So Dustin Rhodes Jack should be beating Dustin Rhodes storyline kayfabe wise as well at this point. So I think it'll be a very solid match, but I don't think that Dustin should be beating Jack at this point. Tony Storm is in the ring. We're getting a replay from Dynamite last week when Tony and Mina got into it, and then Mariah May held them both. And then this little triangle is interesting here. I'm assuming that at some point Mariah is going to have to choose between Tony and Mina Shirakawa. Tony Storm is in the ring right now. She's apparently going to be wrestling Lady Frost. I didn't hear if it was a title match or not. Did you hear?
No. I mean, we'll find out if the ref holds up the title to the camera.
Right. David says Lady Frost is pretty good. Yeah, I like Lady Frost. I mean, for being a kind of I guess really, I mean, I think she should be a little higher up on the booking card. I think they tend to book her as kind of a mid-card talent. She spent a lot of time on Ring of Honor and kind of in the, in the mid-card, taking losses to the Tony Storms of the world. But
Is
I
she
like her. I mean,
signed?
is she what?
She signed? I thought she was a free agent. Is she signed?
Oh, maybe that. I don't know. I'm not totally sure.
Because like if somebody's not signed, like I understand not hugely pushing them.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, David says he doesn't think it's a title match either. I didn't see the ref hold the belt up, so I don't think it is either. But I do like Lady Frost. I think she's a solid wrestler. I think she could be getting pushed more, like you said. If she's not signed, that can explain it. If she is signed, I do think she should be getting a little bit more, recognition and pushes, but she's going to lose here to Tony Storm. I mean, I can't imagine she's going to win. I mean, even in a non-title match. I mean,
This is just to make Tony look good in the lead up.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. David says this is going to be a good match. I agree. At least I hope so. I mean, Lady Frost definitely has the ability to give Tony Storm a good match. We'll see how it's ultimately booked. I mean, with Tony Storm being the champion, it'll surprise me if it's, if they let Lady Frost look too good. But
a day until Battleground, a week until Clash at the Castle, and 3 weeks until Forbidden Door. So we got 1 week off.
thanks a lot, Wrestling World. No, and that, this goes back to what I was saying before. When WWE was really the only game out there and they had, 11 pay-per-views every year, it was one thing because there was basically only 11 you had to watch. But now with AEW being, I watch AEW more than I watch WWE. I watch them both, but I watch AEW more. And now they're going to have 9 or 10 a year. So now we're looking at 20 a year between the two
And
companies.
NXT does the shows too.
And then NXT has their shows. So, I mean, it makes it a lot. Like I said, it's one thing if it was just AEW or just WWE doing that many, but if you watch it all and you combine it all, it's a lot. It's a lot of pay-per-views in a year. I mean, it's
Ooh. Fortunately, we got 6 months in for the rest of the year because, man, I don't know what I'm going to be picking and choosing for the year-end awards this year.
Yeah. Yep. Now, the horseshoe should be fun this year. It's been an interesting year in wrestling. So, we're at Picture in Picture getting a preview for a new Tom Hardy movie, Bike Riders. It was kind of interesting.
It's also got Elvis.
Yeah, the dude that played Elvis. Yeah.
Did his voice ever change back?
That I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean, I couldn't hear the trailer, but that was a thing that people were saying is that
he still sounded like Elvis.
He went method with it. He only spoke in the voice, and then once the movie finished wrapping, he was like,
he
"I can't find my voice. Where's my voice?"
I mean, I enjoyed Elvis. I thought it was good. I thought Tom Hanks was pretty good. The guy that played Elvis, I thought did a good job. The most impressive thing about the movie, and I don't know anything about it, and I haven't done any research, so I don't know for sure. But the music was amazing, and if that was the actor actually doing the singing, dude's got an amazing fucking voice.
Mm-hmm.
If it wasn't, then it is what it is. But if he was actually doing all that singing, then was very impressed with his voice. I suppose he could have been lip syncing. It could have been somebody else. It could have been whatever. But
well, I think a big thing that movies do is you'll be in studio, at a mic like an actual singer does, and you'll sing there, and
Huh?
then while they're shooting, you'll lip sync.
Sure. That makes sense.
I mean, that's the way music videos are done too.
Yeah.
Like hardly any music videos like is the person like actually singing.
Well, yeah. I mean, the reality is that, especially if you're doing a very high energy, active music video, you're not going to be doing all those dance moves and still singing without breathing hard or sounding like you're running around, right? So they want the music to sound flawless while you're still dancing around. So Tony Storm goes into the corner. Lady Frost gets out of the way. Frost coming into the corner, does a cartwheel into a flip and misses. Tony Storm now with the hip attack in the corner. That's the beginning of the end. 1, 2. Lady Frost kicks out after the hip attack.
So Tony's ring gear tonight looks like a 1940s, 1950s like bathing suit.
Yes, it definitely does.
Much better than that one week where she looked like she was wearing granny panties.
That's funny.
I swear it had to be because of what people were saying about Tyler Bate on the internet. Because
Whoa.
like everybody was saying that stuff about Tyler Bate, and then literally the next week Tony Storm shows up and it looks like she's wearing granny panties. It's like,
That's funny.
Tony, what you do?
Lady Frost had a very interesting move. She did a little cartwheel into snatching Tony Storm up and just a little, I forget what it looked like. I don't remember how to say it again, but a nice little move. Lady Frost up on the second rope. Tony over the counter. Oh, Tony with the lung buster, whatever they backstabber. That was the name I couldn't remember. Up, Lady Frost flips her over. 1, 2. Tony kicks out. Tony up with the sit down power bomb. 1, 2. Ooh, Lady Frost kicks out. 2.5. Luther and Mariah May are trying to cheer Tony on. Frost in the corner. Tony in. Frost gets her elbow up. And then she gets her boot up. And cartwheel into that same move again. Oh, Tony counters into a pile driver. Floats over for 1, 2, 3. Tony Storm picking up the win. Tony Storm with the win. Against Lady Frost in a solid match. I like that little move that Lady Frost does, the little cartwheel into like the Celtic cross or white noise kind of finishing position. I've never seen that before, but I liked it. Now we're in black and white as Tony Storm celebrates at ringside with Mariah May. Up back to color. I love how they go in and out between black and white and color.
So last year for the Horsies, Tony didn't make my top 3 when we were doing the women.
Right.
Like overall, I had her at like number 5, but like it's gonna like Tony's like solidified her spot being top 3 this year. Like the woman I had above her for this year was Rhea, and Rhea's been gone like a month, and she's going to be gone for at least another month. So like,
I never had someone look out for me, and this one put me on you. Sir,
Yeah. Tony's had a very solid 2024 so far. And a very solid end of 2023. When you combine them two, yeah, she's doing really good. Now, to be fair, some of it's, we're missing Britt Baker, we're missing Jamie Hayter. We don't have all of our regular women there and healthy, so it is what it is. But yeah,
Mercedes didn't come in until we were almost halfway done with the year, so it's
right. Yeah, I
hard
mean,
for her
Mercedes
to.
just came in. And not only did she just come in, but she's not coming in. They're not booking her in this at this title at this point anyhow. So she's, in the TBS
It
title
doesn't
picture.
matter what title you're going for. It's just being a woman in wrestling in the year 2024.
Oh yeah, no, I know, but yes and no. I mean, I agree with you. Now, in terms of like a person like Gunther who elevated the IC title and made it that much better when he had it and made it feel like a main event title, I think that's a big deal. But I do think that if you're talking about who had the best year as far as women's wrestling goes, the people that held the women's titles probably looked at first and foremost, and who's ever held it the longer in that calendar year has to be kind of at the top of at least your thought process pile. Otherwise, I mean, why are they women's champion? I mean, the idea is that the women's champion is currently the best wrestler in the world in that
You would
promotion.
think.
So
You would think.
I know it doesn't always work that way, obviously, but I'm just saying, like, they at least need to be in your they should be in your thought process when you're thinking of those things. So
So
yeah, I
far,
mean that
I got Tony Storm and Bailey, but like, who do I give third to? Like, let's see
yeah,
what happens. Like, Julia could be doing great stuff in NXT.
from the end
Uh,
of the year, yeah.
Jordan Grace, like, let's see what the year has for her. Like,
Yeah.
it's probably going to be Jordan Grace if I'm looking at it right now. Like, as long as she don't like fall off, but I don't see why
Yeah.
she would. Those are probably going to be my top three.
What happens if Roxanne Perez beats her tomorrow?
It's
Does
not
that
going to
do
put
anything?
Roxanne in the list.
But it doesn't move Jordan off of the list.
Well, I mean, we still have half a year to go. Like, it takes more than losing one match. Although, if she wins the match, that might put her into the second spot.
I don't know. It's tough. I think so far for me, the top two women this year probably would be if we're talking WWE and AEW, just those two. Well, I guess we're talking TNA too because you're talking about Jordan Grace, although Jordan Grace has been in WWE. So, but I mean, I guess we're talking everywhere ultimately when we talk
Mhm.
about this. But
Another
for me,
contender is Mayu Iwatani. She's also a contender.
I mean, for me, it would have to be between Tony Storm and probably right now, 6 months through the year, Becky, just because Becky's had a great 2024 to begin with.
Mhm.
So, um, she's doing a lot. She's been doing a lot of good work this year. So for her, it's probably me. For me, it's probably her and Tony Storm. I wish Bianca and Jade were more at the top of that list, but Jade hasn't really had an opportunity to do much yet this year. And Bianca, they haven't booked her all that well so far this year. I mean, it's not like she's losing, but they haven't done a lot with her. So um, yeah, I don't know. And obviously, Jimmy Hayter's gone. Brett Victor's out. Thunder Rose is back in wrestling well. Willow's had a solid 2024, first half of 2024. So Willow would probably be at least in my mind when I'm having that conversation to myself about, who should be there.
I mean, I'd
Merc-
probably put her above Jade and Bianca.
yeah, definitely at this point for sure. Mercedes, name wise, has the name and the
Oh, yeah.
notoriety, but she hasn't done very much this
No,
year. She's
she's
only
had
wrestled
one
three or
match.
four matches. Right. So, um, I don't feel comfortable putting her there. Willow's over her for me just because of activity, and what she's done this year. So, yeah, no, I mean, I'd have to sit down and think about that. But yeah, um, yes, I agree. I think we're all going to be happy. David says I'm going to be happy when Jamie Hayter comes back. Yeah, we're all waiting for Jamie Hayter to come back for sure.
Because, like, I don't see, unless it's Mariah May, I don't see anybody taking that title off of Tony. Maybe Becky. If Becky comes in, faces Tony Storm at freaking All In, like, okay, I can see that. But like, unless you're bringing somebody else into the company, the only two people in AEW right now who can do it is Jamie Hayter returning and Mariah May if they build a storyline to go that way. But like that takes quite a bit of effort on their part.
Yeah, I mean, I know that a lot of people don't necessarily think she's on that level per se, but they booked Britt Baker as a main event wrestler, and in theory, they could have Britt Baker potentially beat a Tony Storm. Tony Khan, I could see doing that. I think he sees them as on the same level. I don't necessarily see them on the same level. I don't think Britt's that good myself.
Oh,
Britt
Britt
Baker, when she comes back, but they treat her like a superstar. I mean, she carried the women's division for a while, so I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I think Tony sees her on that level. So, and Thunder Rosa should be on that level. If she's booked like that, Thunder Rosa can beat Tony Storm. Um, oh shit, Joe and Hook breaking into the Premier Athletes locker room and attacking them, serving a beatdown. David says Joe and Hook, and then he says Joe, Joe, Joe. And then he says Daniel Garcia coming out with his air hump dance. Yeah, I guess you must be a little ahead of us because I've got Joe and them still backstage at the moment. I haven't seen Daniel Garcia yet, but
and Daniel Garcia.
here comes Daniel Garcia. Yeah, the dance. I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of the dance myself, but for someone like Daniel Garcia who lacks kind of that it factor, he needs something to give him some personality because he doesn't just have it by naturally. So the dance helps him a little bit. The dance makes him look more likable and enjoyable because he's very kind of just flat personality wise. So it gives him a little bit of flair and flavor.
He does all right with the personality when he's working with someone who has a lot of personality. He has enough to like. He can give the 10 if the other person's bringing 90.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, David's right. The dance does make him stand out. Yeah, I agree.
Like Chris Jericho, Christian Cage. Like if you got those, people that like ooze personality, even to where it's sometimes a bad thing of how much personality that they can ooze, then like Daniel Garcia is honestly perfect. Like it matches up that 100% you need. Because like if you get Chris Jericho versus Christian Cage, then it's like, all right, boys, you're at 180 right now. Like it's too much.
Tune it down a few notches, yeah, for sure. So Garcia taking on, I missed the guy's first name. His last name is Mayfairs. Somebody I am not familiar with. So I'm assuming that this will be a Daniel Garcia victory. Hopefully, at least they let the opponent get some work in. Doesn't just be a squash. He's got Daniel in the corner. Daniel's got him in the corner at the moment. The traverse around. Daniel's in the corner. Oh, big strike. A chop, a European uppercut. And now he's standing over Daniel Garcia, taunting him. And then a rollout. The enhancement talent is a decent guy. Yeah. David says the enhancement talent Garcia is fighting is decent. He's not just a squash match. Yeah. No, and I prefer those. Like, every once in a while I can see the need for a squash, but I much prefer when it's what I call a showcase match, which is where clearly one person's winning, but they let the other person at least have some offense, and it's at least a decent match. It's not just a 1 or 2 move squash.
You need the Sky Blue treatment where like you're there, and if the crowd like is like, holy shit, who's that? Like, okay, yeah, we found a new talent.
Yeah.
You have to give them the opportunity to have people be like, oh shit, they're good.
Yeah.
Like they don't got to win. They just need to look good.
Right. He's getting some offense. He's trying to get Daniel Garcia up. He's too busy trying to show off and showboat. Garcia's got him
I
up.
gotta go to the bathroom. I'll be back.
Sounds good. Crossroad, basically cross. So neck breakers, swinging neck breakers, second one, third one. It's not exactly cross. It's similar. Let's put it that way. 3 of them in a row. Daniel Garcia's up into the corner. His opponent gets his foot up, comes out of the corner. Garcia tries to almost put in like a choke slam hand on his throat. Then Garcia picks him up, belly to back suplex or Olympic suplex. Garcia dancing, getting ready, missile drop kick, shoots his opponent into the corner. Garcia has his head wrenched in a guillotine, and his opponent is going to sleep. Oh, Garcia's got him up into what they're calling the Red Cross. It's kind of like a modified that looks similar to Death Rider, although the way John Moxley's been doing the Death Rider DDT, he's been getting him a lot higher now, but it kind of has that Death Rider feel to it. Kind of a cross between a Future Shock DDT from Drew McIntyre and the Death Rider that John Moxley does. Let's see. David says, when I saw the family tree, The Rock put out at WrestleMania 40 press conference, when I saw Daniel Garcia on the family tree, I thought it was the wrestler, but it was The Rock's wife. That's funny. I thought you were. I didn't see that. I didn't see The Rock put out the family tree at the press conference. So, I when I was reading this just now live, I thought you were about to say that Daniel Garcia was actually on their family tree, and I was going to say, "Whoa!" But that's to say, yeah, because The Rock used to be married to Danielle Garcia, right? Or Danielle, yeah, that Garcia's her maiden name. So that's funny. Yeah, the Future Shock is a good move. I mean, I'm not the biggest Drew McIntyre fan, but the Future Shock DDT is a nice move. It is it's a nice little way to do the DDT. Are you
Now
a fan of
this
the Future Shock?
girl is good.
The girl that they're advertising now in CMLL, Stephanie
Yeah.
Vicaire.
I've seen a couple of her matches. Like, she impressed me.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I think she's wrestling in Forbidden Door, isn't she?
Yes.
Is it
I believe so.
Mercedes? Is it her Mercedes?
No, I don't.
Oh,
Oh, it might be. It might be actually.
I think it might be her Mercedes
Yeah.
at Forbidden Door. But she's apparently going to be wrestling on Dynamite this week too, or she's coming to Dynamite this week. That's what they're announcing now. Yeah, her and Mercedes are.
We're not
It
getting
looks like
Iwatani.
oh,
Oh,
Mercedes
like
versus
Wednesday.
Zexis on Wednesday. This Wednesday, Zexis. I don't know who that is. We're taking on Mercedes Monet. We'll get another TV time with the Learning Tree, Chris Jericho. David says, I think his Claymore kick and Sheamus's Brogue kicks as well. I like them. Yeah, I like them too. Both of them look cool. They look like they're high impact. They look like they hurt. They do them well. So does Sami Zayn's Haluba kick. That kick in the corner looks good. It always looks like it hurts. Next week, Will Ospreay versus Ray Phoenix for the International Championship. That should be a hell of a match. I'm
Deonna
excited for that.
Purrazzo has stated she would love to face Mayu Iwatani at Forbidden Door.
Yeah, Deonna Purrazzo was quoted recently as saying she said like her ultimate dream opponent, and I was very surprised, and now I can't remember who it was. The name really surprised me. Not because they're not a good wrestler, just it wasn't who I would imagine, but who was it now? Jesus Christ. I'm drawing a complete blank now, but
Deonna
next
versus
week on
Thunder Rosa.
yeah, next week's Collision, the 1 year anniversary Collision, Deonna Purrazzo versus Thunder Rosa. I'll be right back. Give me 1 sec.
The crap. Okay. Oh, the Haluva kick. Sami Zayn. Yeah. Love that. I wonder when they would do that. Because it definitely feels like they're not trying to rush into MJF having the title again. I mean, whoever wins the uh, Owen Hart Cup is going to face the champions at All In. So if he wins that, then yeah. Maybe All In, yeah. If MJF wins the Owen Hart Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I'm torn. MJF, AEW is young enough, and MJF is young enough, and they're all still kind of in their infancy in some regards. That, I don't have he's going to have that title several times during his, AEW career, and I guess the second time this soon isn't the end of the world. I, you know, I do, and I get it. When you have main event guys that are in the main event picture for 20 years, you're bound to have a fair amount of potential title runs for one person. But it does bother me that you've got John Cena and Randy Orton and all these guys with 14, 13, 15, title runs, and it's a lot. It's too much recycling. So I don't want to see AEW get into that kind of thing where they're putting the belts on the same people and over and over again. Moxie's already had the belt 3 times. MJF's had it once. I don't need him to have it again right now. I think they need to wait a little while.
But
But
Mox should have only had the belt twice.
I agree with that. But he has had it 3 times.
And it's because of CM Punk.
Right.
It's the reason he got the belt the second time. It's the reason he got the belt the third
Right.
time.
Owen Hart Winner's going to get the all-in spot, so hopefully he'll get a spot at the tournament then. Yeah, we'll have to end up seeing what ends up happening. Forbidden Door should be fun. That's going to be a fun pay-per-view.
I
And we'll
mean,
ultimately see. I think Swerve's going to have the title for a little while. Even though I think Swerve gets the win over Ospreay at Forbidden. Is it a Forbidden Door? Yeah. But I don't think he gets the win clean. I think I don't.
I
It's really
think
good.
I think that Don Callis tries to get involved to help Osprey, but it ends up hurting him instead.
Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. I could see this. What David says here, Hangman Page better come back soon. I could see Hangman coming back and costing Swerve or Osprey the title just by getting involved somehow. Adam Clover's Adam Page when they come back. That I'm in for that. Here's the thing. I think that
Do we need
even
Adam
though
versus Adam again, though?
you're opposed to it, if
Like, we had 2 pay-per-views with him already, didn't we?
is it 2? Did we have
It
2
was
pay-per-views?
Revolution, and I, it wasn't like a pay-per-view. Pay-per-view. It was like a Battle of the Belts.
Okay. Um, you know, Swerve's your AEW World Champion, so in theory, he's the best. He's currently the best wrestler in AEW. That's the thought process. He's a title holder. He's currently the best. But
Uh,
Will Ospreay is considered in the internet community and around the world as probably the best wrestler on the planet at the moment.
yes.
So, should Will Ospreay ever lose to your Swerve Scott? I mean, or to Swerve? I mean, That's the question, but Swerve's the champ. So, and I don't think you're ready to put that belt. I think Will's ready to have it. I don't think they're going to put it on him this soon. And I don't think they're going to have him have two belts this quickly. So that means that Swerve's getting the win somehow. Um, and yet Will Ospreay's the greatest wrestler on the planet. So I don't think you can give Swerve just a clean win over Osprey, because then that, whatever. Osprey doesn't take losses like that. So for Swerve to win, it's got to be a dirty victory. Um, so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out at Forbidden Door. Let's see. I can see Hangman trying to ruin it for Swerve, but Swerve still prevailing would be cool. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're ready to take that belt off of Swerve yet. I mean, I guess if you are ready to take the belt off of Swerve yet and you're going to put it on anybody, Osprey is your best bet. I mean, he's, like we said, the best wrestler on the planet. So who else would be, who else would it be better on? But
He
it
won it at
feels too
Dynasty.
soon.
He defended it at Double or Nothing, and now it's Forbidden Door.
Yeah, it feels too soon.
I mean, to be fair, Samoa Joe didn't hold it a long time either. He won it at World's End. He defended it at Revolution, and he lost it at Dynasty. So it's the same right now for Swerve as it was for Samoa Joe.
Yeah. I think the difference for me is that Samoa Joe, and again, Samoa Joe feels like he's in the twilight of his career, and Tony Khan wanted to give him one more little, run with the belt. Swerve still feels like, to me, like he's still kind of in the prime of his career and has, a lot of time. Now, I know he's not young, but it just feels like that, as far as it feels like he hasn't been on my TV screen wrestling near as long as Joe has. Um, and so,
But Joe's still like a top 5 wrestler. Like,
yeah, no, I agree with that.
if Joe's like, if we're drafting a roster, like Joe's in my first round, like draft picks. Like,
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's a fair spot for him. I mean, I think that's where Joe should probably be for everybody. I mean, I think he's a first round talent. I do think, though, he's probably dropped from a first round talent to third or fourth pick in the first round. I don't know that he's like your very, very, very first pick just because of his age at this point. And he's already put in a lot of years wrestling. So, I don't know. It's interesting to me. It feels like Swerve still has a lot of career ahead of him. And so it feels like Swerve should have the belt a little longer. But at the same time, you're right. I mean, Joe is still a top 5 wrestler. He's still Samoa Joe. And, so I don't know. I mean,
well, I mean, if Danielson retires, then I think Joe's my number 3 pick. Mox and
yeah.
Osprey being 1 and 2.
Yeah. I think there's, I mean, Osprey obviously for me belongs there. I mean, I'd have to look, I'd have to think about Mox at the moment, but yeah, I mean, he's had a solid 2024 so far. I'm trying to think of, with everyone out and injured, there hasn't been too many people that have had a better 2024 so far. Yeah. Well, O'Reilly and Orange Cassidy here in your Collision main event. Two really solid two really solid wrestlers. Orange Cassidy is a little more high octane, a little more kind of fly around the ring, where Kyle O'Reilly is a little more technical, a little more on the mat kind of guy. But Orange Cassidy can do technical wrestling too. I've seen him, do some technical wrestling. So, and Kyle O'Reilly can fly around a little bit. I've seen him do that as well. So, they're picture in picture. I don't know. Right now, I'm having a really hard time choosing between Swerve and Osprey at Forbidden Door, because in my mind, I don't know how Osprey loses. At this point ever, really. But at the
The
same time,
only thing that makes sense to me is Don Callis getting involved, and that causes friction between Osprey and Don
yeah, I
Callis.
mean, the only way
So,
I go ahead.
so we'd likely have like Osprey versus Takeshita at All In.
Yeah, I mean, I truly believe that the only way that Osprey loses the match is Swerve has to have help, either directly or indirectly. Either Nana helps him, or Callis gets involved and affects Osprey, ultimately helping Swerve indirectly, accidentally. Um, let's see. Mike Key wants to know if Becky Lynch at All In or sooner.
Well, it's not confirmed she's
It
coming, but
it's not.
like I would dig it if she did, and she might become the highest paid women's wrestler in the world if she did. Like, if anybody's going to get paid more than Mercedes, it would be Becky.
I mean, if I'm Becky Lynch and I'm a free agent and I'm sitting back and I'm looking around, I don't see why I wouldn't at least take a chance and have some little stint in AEW. At least go over and see what it's about. I'm sure you have goodwill with the W. You can always come back, I'm sure. So, and maybe you don't want to. Maybe you get over there and end up loving it. I mean, you never know. But I think as a wrestler, you're probably curious. You've been doing the WWE thing for a really long time. I'm trying to think if I had ever heard of Becky Lynch before WWE. So I think she's basically just a WWE product. In which case, it'd be great to see her do some other stuff against other women that have never been in WWE, that she wouldn't get a chance to wrestle potentially otherwise.
She had left wrestling, and Sriracha convinced her, hey, come back, try out for WWE, see how it goes before,
Okay.
but she had quit wrestling.
So she was obviously doing independence and stuff before then. I mean,
in Europe, in the UK.
right. Okay, yeah. See, I had never heard of her. I don't know if she wasn't Becky Lynch. I don't know what what her name was at the time, or if she was. I had never heard of her. So the first time I ever heard of her was in WWE, and she's been in WWE since then. So, if I'm her, going to AEW gives her a chance to spread her wings a little, show she can do and be the man or Becky Lynch outside of the WWE structure and their booking. Um, and she could have some potential dream matches with some women that she might not ever wrestle if she stays in WWE. So, from a wrestler's perspective, I would think it would be enticing and something she would consider. Whether it actually happens or not, I don't know. I give it probably, I say 45% that she shows up in AEW at some point. All In seems like a decent time, but it could be sooner. Um, but I think there's a bigger chance that she just resigns at some point with WWE, takes a little bit of time off, and then ends up resigning with WWE. I give that a higher percentage. But
it's
I
also
would
very
love,
dependent on what her husband wants to do.
yeah, I would absolutely love to see her in AEW. I'd love to see her husband outside of outside of WWE too. I mean, both of them, I think I would love to see Tyler Black versus Kenny Omega versus Will Ospreay versus, Brian Danielson now, you know what I'm saying? Versus Shibata. I mean, all those guys, those are all dream matches in my opinion.
A
So,
big thing for me is that I felt like Becky was more of a WWE lifer than Seth.
yeah,
Like, I thought Seth was more likely to leave. But now
right.
everybody's talking about Becky leaving, and it's like,
Yeah.
if she's going, I don't see why Seth is resigning.
Yeah, I agree. No, I tend to agree with that. I tend to agree with that. I mean, it's all, I mean, a lot of it's going to come down ultimately to money and how, if indeed, you're being pitched, if you're Becky Lynch and you're being pitched, from TNA and AEW and WWE all at the same time, who's not necessarily just offering you the most money, but who's offering you potentially the best booking, the best storyline? Where do you feel you can, be the best? Where are you most comfortable? All those things come into play. Obviously she's been in WWE for a long time. That's her comfort zone. She's, a megastar in WWE. And in theory, if she came into AEW, she'd be Becky Lynch in AEW. I don't know if she'd have the same name or not, but she'd still have that same cachet. Everyone knows who she is. So she'd be top of the pile and a superstar in AEW too, so I don't think that would be an issue. But I mean, it's all going to come down to money and all those kind of things. And ultimately, where they're comfortable. But I'd love to see her get a run in AEW, both of them. I mean,
Becky Lynch versus Thunder Rosa, Becky Lynch versus Deonna Purrazzo, Becky Lynch versus Toni Storm,
Serena Deeb.
Serena Deeb.
Yeah. There's a lot of potential matchups there that I think would be really good. So, and we could get Becky versus Sasha in a totally different environment. Mercedes Moné versus whatever Becky calls herself in a totally different environment. And, AEW wrestling, even though wrestling is wrestling, AEW wrestlers wrestle differently than WWE wrestlers wrestle. So it wouldn't be the same match as getting Becky versus Sasha. You know what I'm saying? I think you'd get a different match. I mean,
but I definitely feel like that match needs to be put on the back burner. Let's visit it.
Oh, yeah.
Distant future, not in Becky's first year.
No. I agree. I mean, there's so many other matches that I want to see first. I'm just saying you could do that too. Still, I mean, there's Becky versus Athena, Becky versus Willow. I mean, all of those sound fun to me.
I'm pretty sure the match for Mercedes at All In will be Mercedes versus Saraya.
Yeah.
Except this time Saraya is not going to win the title at All In.
Yeah, no. Nope, there's no way Saraya is beating Mercedes for the title at All In. That's not happening. I don't think they're ever going to put that belt back on Saraya. She was so not over with the belt that I don't think they're doing that again. Tony tried, took a little shot, and then everybody absolutely hated it, and I don't think they're doing that again. I'll be very surprised if he goes in that direction again. Okay, here we go. So Becky Lynch's real name is Rebecca Quinn. So Becky Quinn, I guess, or all right with Becky Quinn. That's not terrible.
Becca Lopez. Becca Black.
Becca Black. There you go. Becca and Tyler Black. There you go. I wonder if he was to go to AEW, if he would be Tyler Black.
Oh, he would. He definitely would.
Yeah.
I mean, that was his name in Ring of Honor.
Yeah. No, I know. I'm more excited. Honestly, when I think about the two of them, I get more excited for the stuff that Seth could do in AEW than I do for Becky, just because I do think that even though AEW has a decent women's roster, I think their men's roster is amazing. And so the dream matches that you could put together for Seth, I think are definitely better than the dream matches you could put together for Becky, but still a lot of solid matches for Becky. I mean,
but the thing is AEW needs Becky more than they need Seth.
They don't need Seth, honestly, at all, really. I mean, Seth's going to be, in theory, should be in the main event picture, but that picture is so clogged up already that who knows where he would even end up at. I mean, we'll have to see where he ends up at. I mean,
but there's so many dream matches that can be made, like him versus Will Ospreay. Oh my God, we've needed that match for 5 years now.
Yep. Yeah, I'm here for that. 100%. That'd be amazing.
Buddy and Seth back together again.
Lots of injuries in the women's division. Yes, lots of injuries in the women's division.
I mean, Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter.
Thunder Rosa just came back, but she
Julia
was gone.
Hart.
Serena Deeb just came back, but she was gone for a long time. A couple women have just come back, but yeah, Julia Hart's out now. Um,
I only have the three. Is there anybody else?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I'm sure
Now,
there are.
WWE's facing a lot of injuries in their women's division.
Uh,
Like the biggest one being Rhea. Like Rhea being gone, like actually affected the show.
I agree with that. I agree with that for sure.
Oh, that's WWE booking right there. You remember when he lost to KO at WrestleMania, and then the next pay per view, he was challenging Drew McIntyre for the world title?
Yeah. Yep.
Like, you lose your match one pay per view, and the next pay per view, you're challenging for the
You
world
get a
title.
title match. Yeah. You get rewarded with the title match. Yep.
Did that happen to anybody besides Seth? Because it happened to Seth a few times.
Oh, probably. I mean, I can't remember off the top of my head, but I can't imagine that's the only time that it's ever happened and the only person that's ever happened to. I mean,
Like, how do
Kyle
you
O'Reilly.
continue to lose upwards?
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. These two are having a great match here. Exchanging German suplexes in the middle of the ring. Mikey says Liv Morgan holding things down. Yeah. I mean, the Liv Morgan Revenge Tour we've talked about it here as probably being the best work that she's ever done. Does that mean that I think it's great? I don't know. I think the jury's still out on that at the moment.
Liv Morgan holding down things? No. Judgment Day is, and they're doing it without Rhea, which is the real testament of Judgment Day right now. Is that even with Rhea gone, they're still running Raw.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I can agree with that. Kyle O'Reilly giving Orange the orange treatment with the fake kicks. Oh, that one was a little harder. That one was a little harder. Now they're exchanging real kicks. I mean, I'm not the biggest Liv Morgan fan, so
Ooh, counter the Stun Dog Millionaire.
into a yeah, I'm trying to get the arm breaker. But Orange put his hand in his pocket, so Kyle couldn't get the arm out. The arm extended up into an ankle lock. Orange trying to counter his way out. Oh, Orange with the knee to Kyle up. Oh,
Ooh.
two. Kyle barely kicks out. Holy smoke, just barely got his shoulder up there. I'm trying to think to myself, I'm thinking if there was one current WWE star that if I could bring to AEW, who would it be? And I think it would probably be Seth Rollins. I'm just trying to think. Maybe the other option for me would be Pete Dunne. Those would be, I think, the two off the top of my head that I would most like to see.
So guys who they would want. They want Chad Gable.
Yeah,
They want
Chad Gable
Sami
would be fun.
Zayn. They want Kevin Owens.
Mike T wants to know if Liv's going to become a part of Judgment Day with her romantic storyline with Dominic. I don't think so. I think ultimately she's going to end up being probably part of the reason why at least Dominic splits from Judgment Day, if not Judgment Day dissolving altogether. I think she's going to end up being the Yoko Ono ultimately of Judgment Day. In my opinion, what do you think?
I could see that, yeah. I'm against her joining another faction because, like, we remember what happened when she joined Bullet Club.
Yeah.
It happened for, 2 weeks? And, like, it was annoying.
Yeah. This is true.
But, like,
beach break.
The storyline isn't really...
Kicks out. Kyle kicks out.
The whole thing is she wants to take everything from Rhea.
Right.
Like that doesn't involve her having to join Judgment Day. But it just
Right.
if she breaks Judgment Day up, if Judgment Day dissolves, if she destroys it, she's taking it from Rhea.
Yeah, I think she becomes. Yeah, I think I think ultimately she becomes the wedge that destroys Judgment Day, and that's her taking everything. She takes Dominic. She breaks up Rhea's faction, and she ultimately has her title when Rhea comes back. 1, 2, 3. Orange Cassidy gets the win over Kyle O'Reilly in a very hard fought main event. That was a lot of fun. The Kingdom was at ringside cheering on Kyle O'Reilly the whole time. They're disappointed with the Orange Cassidy win here. They're still trying to recruit Kyle O'Reilly heavily to the Undisputed Kingdom. I have a feeling at some point he's going to join, but we'll see. I'm curious to see if the Undisputed Kingdom comes into the ring here to beat up Orange Cassidy. They haven't yet, but let's see. We are at the end of this episode of Collision. As I said, that was a good main event. Orange Cassidy gets a win and then gives the crowd the thumbs up. Happy to see Kyle O'Reilly back. I love Kyle O'Reilly. Happy to see him back and getting, push and TV time from Tony.
There's a
Here we
few
go. The
women.
Kingdom is now in the ring.
There's a few women AEW would want, but when it comes to men, like I can really only think of those four.
All I heard was Chad Gable. I didn't hear you mention the other three.
Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and then Seth Rollins.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine that if you're sitting and asking Tony Khan, if Tony Khan's sitting with, the WWE roster sheet in front of him, my guess is there's probably 15 to 20 guys that he would really consider bringing. But yeah, I mean, those four are at the top of the list. I mean, for sure, they're probably four of the most. Oh, so let's see. The Kingdom came in to attack Orange Cassidy. Kyle O'Reilly came back to defend Orange Cassidy, and now the Undisputed Kingdom is beating up both Kyle O'Reilly and Orange Cassidy. So interesting kind of turn of events. Oh, and now Chris Statlander's in the ring. She's going to what is? Oh, I got buffering, so now my screen's frozen. What is Chris doing? Chris is shaking hands with Trent.
If I'm
And
going to
Chris,
name another person that's a man, not a woman, a man,
okay.
I'm going to say Finn Balor.
I mean, WWE has a lot of talent. I mean, like I said, if you're Tony Khan and you're looking at their roster, there's probably 15 or 20 guys that you could envision being on your AEW roster. I
Well,
don't have all those names off the top of my head. I'd have to sit and look at them. Obviously, some much more coveted than others, but
yeah, but it's also people who would fit in AEW, who would
sure,
get along with the other dudes in the back, whose
right,
wrestling style matches what they do.
right, yeah,
Like
yeah.
LA
I mean,
Knight's over, but like, does LA Knight fit into the landscape of AEW?
no, probably not. But I'm sure you'd love to have. If you could have, you'd love to have the Usos versus the Bucks or Lucha Bros, or I mean, the tag team division is big in AEW. I mean, bringing someone like the Usos over, or potentially New Day. I mean, I'm sure they'd be interested in either of them. Um,
But the thing is, yes and no. Like, yes, they'd love to have the Usos as a tag team, but I don't feel like the Usos would get singles pushes like Jay is now on Raw. So I don't think the Usos would ever go.
and that might very well be true. I mean, I have no idea. I mean, it all remains to be seen what Tony Khan would, ultimately do with, you know, uh, with someone like the Usos if they came over. I mean, he's done a fair amount of work. He's done a fair amount letting both Phoenix and Penta have fair amounts of singles matches when they're both healthy. He's let FTR and Dax have a lot of singles matches. I have a feeling that if Jay and Jimmy were pushing for having some singles matches, he'd probably acquiesce to that. Tony seems to be pretty pliable or workable as far as if someone really wants something, he's willing to give it at least a shot to see if it works. So I mean, you can't tell me he wouldn't like to have Gunther or Sheamus. I'm sure he'd like to have either of them. I'm not saying those are top of his list, but if you're looking at WWE stars that you could think would be good to have, I mean, I would like to have either of them. Um, you know, uh, and then there's the other ones. I mean, obviously Randy Orton's a lifer, but if you're running a wrestling promotion, Randy
No,
Orton's got to be at the top of your list for
no,
anybody, right?
no.
What do you mean no?
If it was 3 years ago, if it was before Randy had the big injury and had to have surgery and was out for a long time and all that, then yeah, absolutely. They would have paid him $4 or $5 million to come. But as it is now, he's on borrowed time. They already have a bunch of older
But that's, I mean,
WWE guys.
but you're going to tell me that the company that brought Edge in, the company that brought Bryan Danielson in, the company that they wouldn't take a shot.
If they can get Randy for Edge money, then yes.
Sure. I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, and
But
maybe he wouldn't go. I mean,
they
maybe he'll
would
never.
not pay him more than WWE is. They would pay him the same amount, about $4 million.
And I'm not saying that he would go. I'm just saying I'm talking if I'm Tony Khan looking at the WWE roster page, guys that make my eyebrows go up. Randy Orton would be one of those guys. I mean,
Well,
you're not
yes.
going to get him, but you would
No.
want him. I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, I'm just talking about guys that you would look at and think, yeah, I'd love to have that guy here. Randy Orton would be one of those guys. I mean, you probably can't get him, but that
not
doesn't
for
mean
the
you
money.
wouldn't want him.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean you wouldn't want him.
Oh,
You know.
I feel you on that. Yeah,
So that's all I'm saying. I mean, I think if you're Tony Khan looking at the WWE roster, there's probably about 15 or 20 guys in theory that you could think, wow, it'd be great to have those guys. You're obviously not getting all of them, and you probably wouldn't pay all of them, and you probably don't ultimately, when it came down to it, want all of them. But just looking at them, thinking, yeah, those would be all right. Those would be the guys that
people like Seth Rollins, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, and Chad Gable, and even Finn Balor. He would hire them and pay them $1 million more than WWE is paying them now.
It's probably true. That's probably very true. I could see that. I mean, I'd have to know how much they're making in WWE, all of them, and then compare that to what other guys are making in AEW. But
like
I would think
$1.5, $2 million. Seth's probably getting like $3 million.
So if Sammy's making $2 million, I mean, I think Tony would probably pay him $3 million. It all depends on. I mean, I'm not Tony Khan, and I don't know what he thinks of a guy like Sami Zayn or a guy like Chad Gable. I mean, I imagine that, like I was saying, that in theory he probably wants those guys, but I'm not sure that he's willing to back the truck up. I'm not sure that he's willing to pay $1 million more than WWE. It just depends on how he values those guys. I mean, I don't know. I have no idea. I mean,
there's Mercedes who was making less than $1 million, and he's paying her $5 million.
Yeah,
that's pretty well a statement to me of like he's willing to pay the money if he thinks that you're great, you're worth it. Like he doesn't shy away.
That's what I mean. I mean, it all just depends on where Tony Khan thinks your value is, right? I mean, he clearly thinks Mercedes Moné is a huge, is a huge draw, which I tend to agree. I mean, I think she's a really big superstar in the world of women's professional wrestling. In my opinion, unfortunately for both of them, neither Chad Gable or Sami Zayn reaches anywhere near Mercedes' level of notoriety and popularity and the superstarness that they would be getting the kind of money she's getting, especially not Chad Gable. Sami Zayn, I guess it could be debatable, but definitely not Chad Gable.
I have on here that Sasha made $550,000, so she's getting paid almost 10 times more than what WWE was paying her.
Say that one more time.
They paid Sasha Banks $550,000.
Who did, AEW or WWE?
WWE, $550,000. AEW is paying her $5 million.
Okay, yeah.
Kevin Owens, $2 million.
Mm-hmm.
I could definitely see them paying him $3 million.
I think Kevin Owens is worth $3 million.
it doesn't even have Sami Zayn on this list here. It
Right.
doesn't have Chad Gable on this list here.
Right. So I mean, I don't, like I said, I have no idea what they're making. If Chad Gable's making, $500,000 and Tony Khan can get him for $1 million, then the value seems to be there. I mean, assuming you think that Chad Gable's worth $1 million. I mean, I don't, that's something that only Tony can comment on and can only make the decision on. I mean, what he determines those people are worth. But I mean, all those guys would be great in AEW. Again, I mean, I do wonder about too many guys, too many superstars, too many. When I say superstars, I mean too many main event guys, in the company at the same time. But at the same time, I mean, yeah, that's a nice problem to have. So,
But Seth Rollins is $3 million, and I could see them paying him $4 million easy. Heck, he might get $5 million.
yeah. I mean, that doesn't seem like that's too out of the realm when you've given me some of the other numbers you've given me. I mean,
Okada gets paid 4.5. Like Seth Rollins feels in that range there. Chris Jericho gets 5. I feel like Seth Rollins deserves more than Chris Jericho.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, I think Seth Rollins belongs somewhere in that category somewhere. Yeah. I mean, again, only Tony can assess, what he thinks their worth is, and how many people he's willing to pay $5 million plus too. Also, right? I mean, those things do add up, and he's got a lot of money, but he doesn't have infinite amounts of money. You know what I'm saying? And
I'm not saying paying Chad Gable, Sami Zayn, and Kevin Owens 5, but I could definitely see
I'm just saying, right?
Sami and Kevin getting 3, and honestly, Chad getting 2 doesn't seem out of the realm of possibility.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's all something that I don't, those numbers seem like they would be, feasible and legitimate. I mean, not too out of the realm of possibility, but I have no idea ultimately what Tony Khan values any of those guys at, or, what they're making. I mean, you just said what they're making. I don't know what Chad Gable or Sami Zayn's making in WWE. So,
less than $2 million, I can tell you that.
Which doesn't surprise me. I mean, that doesn't surprise me at all. So, all right. So, unless you got anything else to say, we're gonna get up out of here.
I was just about to look up Sami Zayn's salary to tell you.
All right. Well, after that, we're gonna get up out of here.
That can't be right, is it?
What? I don't know.
$500,000.
I mean, before the bloodline work, I would think that sounds about right. I mean, he spent kind of his whole career basically being a higher mid-card, lower main event kind of guy, but real high mid-card guy. So that doesn't sound terrible. I mean, I think he's obviously elevated that since the bloodline stuff and now being Intercontinental Champion. So, maybe, he deserves more now. But I mean, that doesn't sound, I mean, I don't know. $400,000 is a lot of fucking money. Like, I mean, when you consider, MJF or is making $15 million, maybe it doesn't sound like enough for Sami Zayn. But, and I know there's 2 different companies, but I'm just saying, just number wise or whatever, maybe it doesn't sound right for Sami Zayn. But $500,000 is a lot of fucking money. You know what I'm saying? So,
but when you compare it to like Kevin Owens making $2 million, 4 times as much, it's like I figured they'd be close.
Yeah, I mean, even though they've been kind of, intertwined together. And when you talk about Sami Zayn, you talk about Kevin Owens and vice versa. I do think Kevin Owens has had probably twice the career in WWE that Sami's had. I mean, as far as notoriety, push, big event situations, title runs, all those things. I mean, he's had a hell of a career where Sami really hasn't until recently. I mean, Sami's been pushed a lot more recently than he ever was before. So, that wouldn't surprise me. I think Kevin Owens is probably, I don't know that he's worth 2.5 times Sami Zayn, but it doesn't surprise me that someone values them that way. Let's put it that way.
Well, it's 4 times, not 2.5.
4 times.
4. Yeah.
Whatever the case may be. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that somebody values him that way.
I mean, if I'm given the offer of 4 Sami Zayns or 1 Kevin Owens, like. I'm just
taking 4 Sami Zayns. You're taking 4 Sami Zayns?
I'd take 40.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a personal, a preference and opinion choice. I mean, I like Sami Zayn, but I don't know that I would ever pick Sami Zayn over Kevin Owens in any situation. Uh, it's just my personal opinion.
I mean,
But
to me, they're like on par. Like I wouldn't really put one over the other at all. Like
yeah,
Kevin Owens has more of a history to him, but Sami Zayn's got the crowd behind him more now than ever. His match with Roman back last year, like,
yeah,
and now him dethroning Gunther. Like Sami
well, I mean,
Zayn's
this
like a top 5 guy in WWE, and he's not
right.
getting the top 20 salary.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree with that. Right now, he's doing the best work. He's been doing the best work of his career over the last couple of years. Last 2 or 3 years has definitely been the best work of Sammy's career, and he's probably the highest on the totem pole that he's ever been. I at this very moment in time, just because of the way they're being booked and the way creative is using them, Sammy's probably higher on that totem pole than KO is. But in my mind, KO is always a little above Sami Zayn. That's just the way I see it. For me personally, I just think KO is a little above Sami Zayn. But these are all great debates. That's why wrestling's so fun, and that's why there is no right or wrong answer. Obviously, we're all entitled to our opinions, and that's what makes wrestling so much fun. So, unless you got anything else to say, I'm tired, so I'm going to end this stream. I know it's even later on your side over there. So, and we did end the square circle this morning. So, let's
Tune
see.
in tomorrow to
Tune
watch
in tomorrow. But
uh, Night 2, Part 1.
night 2, part 2.
Part 1.
Part 1. You're right. Correct. And then the next week is part 2. Correct. You're right. Night 2, part 1 tomorrow. Uh, for Enter the Square Circle. That will be up in the morning. And then come back tomorrow night for our live watch along of NXT Battleground. Should be fun. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. If you're not subscribed, hit the like button on this video, hit the bell to be notified so you can be notified anytime we drop new content. And thank you very much for joining us, and have a wonderful rest of your Saturday evening or night, I guess, at this point. So, peace.